In just 44 seconds, one of Hollywood's most respected actors completely demolished a beloved television host on live television. What started as a friendly conversation turned into an absolute meltdown when Denzel Washington heard something that made his blood boil. Michael Strahan's show exploded into chaos. Cameras captured every brutal moment, and by the end, Denzel was walking off the set, while the entire studio sat in stunned silence. Before we get into this explosive confrontation, make sure you subscribe to this channel. We bring you daily videos exposing Hollywood's darkest scandals, the confrontations they don't want you to see, and the moments that reveal who these celebrities really are behind closed doors. The studio lights were blazing hot last night as Denzel Washington walked onto Michael Strahan's set. The audience clapped and cheered, excited to see one of the greatest actors of all time sitting down for what everyone thought would be an inspiring conversation. Michael stood up from his desk, that famous gap-toothed smile plastered across his face, his hand extended for a shake. "Denzel Washington, everybody," Michael announced, his voice booming through the studio. "Man, it's an honor to have you here." Denzel shook his hand, gave a slight wave to the audience, and settled into the guest chair. He looked relaxed, wearing a dark suit, his posture calm and collected like always. Michael sat back down, shuffling some note cards on his desk. "So, Denzel, you've been in this business for what, over 40 years now?" Michael started, leaning back in his chair. "You've seen it all, done it all. What keeps you going, man?" Denzel smiled, that warm expression he's known for. "Well, Michael, I love what I do. I love telling stories, bringing characters to life. And I love that I can open doors for the next generation, you know? That's what it's all about now. Opening doors, yeah. Michael nodded, but there was something in his tone, something that felt a bit dismissive. "But let me ask you this, because I've been wondering. You talk about opening doors, but do you think the younger generation of black actors really has what you had? Like, do they have that same presence?" The audience shifted a little in their seats. Denzel's smile faded just slightly. "What do you mean by that, Michael?" "I mean, come on," Michael said, spreading his hands out. "When we think about great black actors, we think about you. We think about Sidney Poitier. We think about the legends. But nowadays, I don't know, man, it feels like a lot of these young cats are just getting roles because of quotas or whatever. They're not earning it the way you did." A murmur rippled through the studio audience. Denzel sat up straighter in his chair. "Quotas?" he repeated, his voice measured but with an edge to it. "Michael, you do realize what you just said, right?" Michael waved his hand like he was swatting away a fly. "I'm just being real, Denzel. I'm just saying what everybody's thinking. Look at some of these casting choices lately. It's like they're just checking boxes instead of actually looking for talent." "Checking boxes," Denzel said slowly. His jaw tightened. "So you think young black actors are only getting work because studios need to fill some diversity requirement?" "I didn't say that exactly," Michael backtracked, but his tone suggested he meant exactly that. "I'm just saying the standard seems different now. Like, when you came up, you had to be undeniable. You had to be so good they couldn't ignore you. Now, I don't know if that's the case anymore." Denzel leaned forward, his eyes locked on Michael. "Let me tell you something, Michael. Those young actors you're talking about, they're working twice as hard as we ever did. They're fighting against the same prejudices we fought against, plus a whole new set of challenges with social media, with think pieces, with everybody having an opinion about whether they deserve their roles. But do they have the talent, though?" Michael pressed, and you could see some audience members shaking their heads in disbelief. "That's all I'm asking. Do they have the talent? Who are you to question their talent?" Denzel shot back, his voice rising for the first time. "You're sitting here on this platform, with millions of people watching, and you're tearing down young black actors who are trying to make it in an industry that already has 1,000 reasons to reject them. What the hell are you doing, Michael?" Michael's smile vanished. "Hey, I'm just having a conversation, man. Don't get defensive." "Defensive?" Denzel laughed, but there was no humor in it. "You're attacking an entire generation of performers, and you want me to stay calm? You know what your problem is, Michael? You made it. You went from the NFL to television, you got your spot, and now you're pulling up the ladder behind you." "That's not fair," Michael said, his voice getting harder. "I've worked hard for everything I have. Nobody's questioning that, Denzel replied. But what you're doing right now, sitting here suggesting that young black actors aren't good enough? That's the same garbage we've been fighting against for decades. And it's even worse when it comes from one of us. The studio had gone completely quiet. You could hear the camera operators shifting their weight, the soft hum of the equipment. But nobody in that audience was making a sound. They were watching two titans face off, and it was clear this wasn't part of any script. Michael tried to regain control. Look, I think you're misunderstanding what I'm trying to say here. No, I understand perfectly. Denzel cut him off. You're saying the same things that racist casting directors have been saying forever, except you think it sounds better coming from you because you're black too. Well, let me tell you something. It doesn't. It actually sounds worse. Come on now. That's taking it too far, Michael said, his voice getting defensive. I'm not racist, Denzel. I'm one of the most successful black men in television. And that's supposed to give you a pass? Denzel's voice was sharp now, cutting through the tension like a knife. You think because you're successful, you can trash the people coming up behind you? That's not how this works, man. We're supposed to lift each other up, not tear each other down. Michael stood up from his desk, clearly agitated. I am lifting people up. I'm being honest about what I see. If that makes you uncomfortable, maybe that says more about you than it does about me. Denzel stood up too, and now both men were on their feet, facing each other across the desk. You want to talk about uncomfortable? Let's talk about how you've been running your mouth about young black talent for months now. I've heard the stories, Michael. I know what you've been saying behind closed doors. What stories? Michael demanded. What are you talking about? I'm talking about you telling producers that certain black actors aren't bankable, Denzel said, his voice dropping lower but somehow becoming more intense. I'm talking about you advising studios to go with safer choices, which everyone knows is code for white actors. I'm talking about you actively working against the very people who look up to you. Michael's face flushed. Who told you that? That's bullshit, Denzel. Somebody's lying to you. Multiple people have told me that, Denzel replied. People who have no reason to lie. People who are disgusted by what you've been doing. I don't have to stand here and listen to this, Michael said, his voice rising. This is my show. You came on my show. You're right. It is your show, Denzel agreed. And you're using your platform to damage the careers of young black actors who are trying to make it. How does that feel, Michael? Does that make you proud? The audience was completely riveted now. Some people had their hands over their mouths. Others were leaning forward in their seats. The camera operators kept filming, capturing every second of this unbelievable confrontation. You know what? Michael said, pointing his finger at Denzel. Maybe the reason these young actors aren't making it is because they're not as good as they think they are. Maybe they need to work harder. Maybe they need to actually earn their spots instead of expecting everything to be handed to them. Earn their spots? Denzel's voice was incredulous. Michael, do you hear yourself right now? You sound exactly like the people who tried to keep us out of this industry in the first place. That's not the same thing, and you know it, Michael shot back. It's exactly the same thing. Denzel's voice boomed through the studio. The only difference is you're black, so you think it's okay for you to say it. But let me tell you something. It's not okay. It's never been okay. And it damn sure isn't okay now. Michael walked around his desk, getting closer to Denzel. You think you're better than everybody else, don't you? You think because you've won some awards and made some good movies, you get to lecture the rest of us about how to behave? I don't think I'm better than anyone, Denzel said, his voice steady despite the anger clearly visible on his face. But I know the difference between building people up and tearing them down. And what you've been doing? That's tearing people down, plain and simple. Get the hell off my stage, Michael said suddenly, his voice cold. I'm done with this conversation. I'm done with you coming on here and attacking me. Denzel stared at him for a long moment. I'm attacking you. You invited me here, Michael. You started this conversation. You're the one who decided to use your platform to disparage young black talent. I'm just calling you out on your bullshit. Security! Michael called out, looking toward the edges of the stage. You're really going to do this? Denzel asked, shaking his head. You're going to call security because I challenged you on your views about young black actors. You're being disrespectful, Michael said. This is my show, my house, And I won't be disrespected in my own house. Denzel laughed, a bitter sound. You want to talk about disrespect? Let's talk about the disrespect you've shown to an entire generation of performers who are trying to follow in your footsteps. Let's talk about how you've used your position to actively harm their careers. That's disrespect, Michael. Two security guards appeared at the edge of the stage, looking uncertain about what they were supposed to do. The audience was in complete shock, some people standing up to get a better view of what was happening. I don't need your security, Denzel said, straightening his jacket. I'll walk out of here myself, but before I go, let me say this. He turned to face the audience, his voice clear and strong. If you're a young actor watching this, especially if you're a young black actor, don't let anyone tell you that you're not good enough. Don't let anyone tell you that you only got your job because of a quota or because someone needed to check a box. You earned your spot. You worked hard for it. And don't ever let someone who's already made it tell you that you don't deserve the same opportunities they had. He turned back to Michael. And you, Michael, you should be ashamed of yourself. You had a chance to be a mentor, to be someone who lifts up the next generation. Instead, you chose to be an obstacle. You chose to be part of the problem instead of part of the solution. Get out, Michael said quietly, his fists clenched at his sides. I'm going, Denzel said. But everyone watching this needs to know what you really think about young black talent. They need to know that behind that smile and that friendly TV personality, you're working against them. You don't know what you're talking about, Michael insisted, but his voice had lost some of its conviction. I know exactly what I'm talking about, Denzel replied. And so do you. That's why you're so angry right now. Because I'm saying out loud what you've been saying in private, and you don't like how it sounds when it's reflected back at you. Michael stepped closer, his voice dropping to almost a whisper, but the microphone still picked it up. You have no idea what it's like to maintain a career in this business as a black man in television. No idea. You're right, Denzel said. I don't know what that's like. But I know what it's like to maintain a career as a black man in film for over 40 years. And you know what I learned? The way to maintain that career isn't by stepping on the people coming up behind you. It's by reaching back and pulling them up with you. That's easy to say when you're a movie star, Michael retorted. Television is different. It's more competitive. There are fewer spots. So your solution is to make sure other black people don't get those spots? Denzel asked. That's your strategy? Become successful enough that you can keep other black people out? That's not what I'm doing. Michael's voice rose again, echoing through the studio. Then what are you doing, Michael? Denzel challenged. Explain it to me. Explain to everyone watching. Why have you been telling people that young black actors aren't good enough? Why have you been discouraging studios from taking chances on black talent? Michael's jaw worked, but no words came out at first. Finally, he said, You're twisting everything I've said. You're taking things out of context. What context makes it okay to say that black actors are only getting work because of quotas? Denzel asked. Please, enlighten me. I'd love to hear it. The silence that followed was deafening. Michael looked around the studio, at the audience members who were staring at him with expressions ranging from disappointment to anger, at the cameras that were capturing every moment of his discomfort, at his crew members, who seemed frozen in place. You know what the sad thing is? Denzel continued, his voice softer now but somehow even more powerful. Young black actors look up to you. They see someone who came from sports, who made the transition to television, who built an empire. They see you as proof that it's possible. And all this time, you've been working behind the scenes to make their journey harder. That's the real tragedy here. I've helped plenty of people, Michael said weakly. Have you? Denzel asked. Have you really? Or have you just helped the people who you thought could make you look good? The ones who were safe enough, who were respectable enough, who weren't too black for your comfort. Don't you dare question my blackness, Michael said, his voice dangerous. I'm not questioning your blackness, Denzel replied. I'm questioning your integrity. I'm questioning your loyalty to your community. I'm questioning whether you understand the responsibility that comes with the platform you have. Michael pointed toward the exit. The door's right there, use it. Denzel nodded slowly. I'm going. But this conversation isn't over, Michael. People are going to be talking about this. People are going to be asking you questions. And you're going to have to answer for what you've been doing. Is that a threat? Michael asked. It's not a threat, Denzel said calmly. It's a promise. The truth always comes out eventually. You can't hide behind your smile and your charm forever. He started walking toward the edge of the stage, then paused and turned back. You know what really gets me, Michael? We fought so hard to get to where we are. We dealt with so much racism, so much discrimination, so many closed doors. And now that we've finally got a little bit of power, a little bit of influence, you're using it to perpetuate the same damn system that tried to keep us out. That's unforgivable. I'm not perpetuating anything, Michael said. But his voice lacked conviction now. Then prove it, Denzel challenged. After tonight, prove it. Change your behavior. Start actually supporting young black actors instead of working against them. Use your platform for good instead of for tearing people down. Show everyone that this confrontation meant something, that you actually heard what I said. Michael didn't respond. He just stood there, his face a mask of conflicting emotions, anger and shame and defiance all mixed together. I didn't think so, Denzel said quietly. He looked out at the audience one more time. Remember what I said. If you're young and you're talented and you're black, don't let anyone dim your light, not even someone who looks like you. He walked off the stage, his footsteps echoing in the silent studio. The cameras followed him until he disappeared into the wings. For several long seconds, nobody moved. Nobody spoke. The audience sat in stunned silence, processing what they had just witnessed. Michael slowly walked back to his desk, his movements stiff and mechanical. He sat down heavily in his chair, looking at the notes in front of him like he couldn't remember what show he was hosting or why he was there. One of his producers appeared at the edge of the stage, making frantic gestures. Michael looked up, seemed to register that he was still on live television, that thousands of people were watching this unfold in real time. We're going to take a commercial break, he said finally, his voice hoarse. But before the cameras could cut away, you could see it in his face. The realization of what had just happened, the understanding that this moment was going to define how people saw him from now on. The studio audience started murmuring, people turning to each other with wide eyes and shocked expressions. Some were already pulling out their phones, undoubtedly getting ready to post about what they'd just witnessed. In the wings, Denzel Washington was already gone, walking past startled crew members and producers, his security team flanking him as he headed for the exit. His face was set, determined, showing no regret about the confrontation that had just taken place. Back on stage, Michael sat at his desk, the weight of Denzel's words hanging in the air like smoke. The cameras finally cut to commercial, but the damage was done. This confrontation had been broadcast live, and there was no taking it back, no editing it out, no pretending it didn't happen. The studio lights seemed harsher now, more unforgiving. Michael looked smaller somehow, diminished, as crew members rushed around him trying to figure out what to do next, how to salvage the rest of the show, whether they should even continue. But Denzel Washington was already in his car, pulling away from the studio, leaving behind the chaos and the shocked silence and the uncomfortable truth that had been spoken out loud for everyone to hear. He had said what needed to be said, called out what needed to be called out, and walked away with his head held high. The confrontation was over, but its impact was just beginning.